president's son. All right, let me turn to Donald Trump, because in a fundraising email he put out, we can put that graphic up, Biden's DOJ was authorized to shoot me. Joe Biden was locked and loaded and ready to take me out and put my family in danger. That's a fundraising letter. Says he barely escaped death. But, Robbie, the FBI says this is standard language about agents being able to use force when warranted, meaning in self-defense. So does this go too far?
Yeah, I mean, we got to tell the truth. It is common practice. Also, they knew that Trump was not there at Mar-a-Lago.
And deliberately timed the raid.
Right.
So if you were trying to, quote, get him.
So they were clearly not.
You wouldn't go that day.
So they were clearly not doing that. This comes up a lot of times when something happens with Trump that has to do with civil liberties. And a lot of people like myself who are in favor of more robust protections for civil liberties will say, well, if you don't like what they're doing to Trump, fine. But they do this to every single American that they raid their home. This is standard operating procedure. You can say that's wrong and that's bad, and this should not be the protocol. But I do think Trump's defenders would have more credibility if they admitted that, like, OK, this is the system. Complain about the system. It's not particularly aimed at Trump in this case. Right. It did have a court-approved warrant. And, Lucy, Jack Smith has now filed a motion asking an additional gag be put on the former president by saying that the FBI is complicit in a plot to assassinate him. Smith says this is exposing agents to violence and harassment. And by the way, Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports that the same language about, lethal force if needed is in Biden's search warrant for classified documents.
Yeah, we need to be able to have election seasons and campaign seasons where we don't erode American faith in institutions. It's okay to have a healthy dose of skepticism against institutions, especially government institutions. That's good. We should be more circumspect about what power we give government. But a former sitting president pursuing and promoting the idea that we should act as though the current president sent and sicked FBI agents on him to shoot and kill him, that is very, very dangerous. Right. But, it only takes a couple of crazy people. So I hope this all settles down. Next on Media Buzz, former presidential candidate Doug Burgum on the Trump trial and his relationship. Well, it occurs to me, Lucy, that the question is whether or not they want to pressure Hunter into a plea. Hunter doesn't contest all this. It's in his memoirs. Says he was smoking crack 24/7, but he's got to be worried about a trial right now embarrassing his father. I actually don't think that this trial would be that embarrassing, or the whole thing is that embarrassing, because the question is, what is the impact? And yes, we can stipulate to a whole bunch of things about Hunter Biden. He is a person who was born into immense privilege. He is a person who has acted inappropriately and has behaved in a way that most of us could not, would not, should not. He is a person who is an addict. He is a person with messy relationships. But who really cares? The people who are Biden supporters are not going to be moved off of Biden because of this. And people who are hardcore MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, this is all confirmatory. So I don't see the timing of the trial having much of an impact. Well, I would just say that on the who really cares part, I mean, the president's son has two trials coming up, both criminal, after that plea deal fell apart. And I do think there's an effort. Both sides might have an incentive, let's put it this way, to settle this, which will undoubtedly include some jail time for the president's son. All right, let me turn to Donald Trump, because
a good night out. Look, Why did Trump go there? What was the point there? Because my sense was, and we were kind of talking and laughing a little bit during the break, there was a little bit of trolling going on here. He liked that money. One part of his brain was really put off by the booing because everyone should love him because I'm Donald Trump and everyone should love me. But the other side of his brain was like, okay, this is good. This is good. This is good for the brand. This is good to remind my voters, my supporters that everybody's after me. The little man problem that he has. What's your take?
He went there to troll, and not to get into libertarian inside baseball politics, but the Libertarian Party has kind of been overtaken by a MAGA wing. So I think Trump thinks he can get the Libertarian vote this year. But, Michael, I think this is, why did he go to the Bronx last week? Right. Why is he going everywhere? I think he's trying to contrast himself with Joe Biden, that he's going to get in front of any crowd. It's all perception. He said there were 20 to 30,000 people in the Bronx last week. There wasn't.
Right.
But he's giving this appearance like he'll go anywhere to get any vote.
Yeah. Even desperate. You know, Ruth, I mean, that's how it sounds to me. Ruth, I too was wondering, I'm like, what is Donald Trump doing at the Libertarian Party convention or conference, especially because Vivek Ramaswamy was there earlier this week when he mentioned Donald Trump's name. There were boos then. There is, understanding this now in the reporting, the Libertarian Party invited both Donald Trump and President Biden. President Biden declined. And he got a couple cheers while he was there. He got some boos. But this moment I was definitely struck by. He again talked about the January 6th protesters, not calling them protesters, though, and promised a pardon yet again. We want to play this sound for you, and I want your reaction on the other side.
It will be my great honor to pardon the peaceful January 6th protesters, or, as I often call them, the hostages. They're hostages. There has never been a group of people treated so harshly or unfairly in our country's history. This abuse will be rectified, and it will be rectified very quickly. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht.
So, Ruth, that last point, the person's name that Donald Trump shouted out, many libertarians have called for that sentence to be commuted for that person. Ross Ulbricht was sentenced to life in federal prison for creating and operating a hidden website known as the Silk Road. And that website people use to buy and sell drugs, among other illegal goods and services. What's your reaction to all of this?
Yeah, so the reason he is mentioning, pardoning the lawless is that that part of his message is going to land well with libertarians who really believe that, in a very small government that should leave people free to plunder the workforce, to make money any way they see fit.
And don't allow the worst president in the history of our country to come back and do the final destruction of America. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you.
Telling Rolling Stone that the president has been actively lobbying Republicans to pass legislation that would keep him out of jail forever, essentially. Yeah. He wants a blank check. So this idea of being ungovernable, it's not just for libertarians, it's for him.
It's for him, and it's a part of the narrative, Joe, that you see playing out. Donald Trump wants to place himself above the law because he wants to crime as much as he wants to crime, right? And he doesn't want to be held accountable for that. And he wants to do things and use government in a way to execute against his enemies, execute against those who would stand in the way of his idea of what America is, his Reich that he wants to create. You have a national poll now.